welcome to Auto Arcadia. And it's all in the feels this episode. It's all about the tactile interactions, the feel through the wheel, the flex in the seat, the thing that kind of speaks to you and inspires confidence in a car. And it's the difference between a beautiful chef's kiss driver's car and a car that's simply fast. So today we're talking about ergonomics and feedback, and ultimately how it adds or detracts from the driving experience. I'm one of the hosts, Colin Wood, and with me is
Thomas Hope.
So Tom, have you had any cars that are just like, oh, chef's kiss, like just feel amazing to drive?
That's a good question. I'm not sure is probably the answer. I've not driven enough cars to really get a feel for what's good or what's bad. I certainly have favourites within the ones I've driven. I would say for me the MR2 was a bit of a highlight. It was a fun car to drive. It felt good. I would say I do like my current car. There's definitely some things that I think it could be better at and would prefer to be slightly different. But overall, it has way more grip than anything I've driven before. It's kind of an impressive amount of grip, but not so much grip that it doesn't have some engagement as well. That's something that, I've had cars that are very capable and competent, but they're just utterly boring. They're not exciting to drive.
That's a fair shout. And I have to agree with everything you've said as well. Because, ultimately, what we're looking for here is, I hate saying it because it sounds so like lecturer in a class, but designing for humans. And it's it's really the be all and end all of ergonomics. And I hate that it's got that name.
That's interesting because designing for humans is quite a broad scope when it comes to cars. Because you could design for people like us who want to be engaged by the drive, and want to feel the speed, listen to the sound, and actually do a lot of the controlling the car ourselves. But there's also people who just want to get in and get to work in a comfortable, cool, stress-free environment where the car tells them if there's people around them, so they don't have to be constantly on the lookout. When they can just kind of be.
Yeah, man.
So ergonomics, bit of a double-bladed sword. Is that the expression?
Yeah, man, it is. Because do you design it for Joe Blogs or somebody who cares? Because we look for very, very different things in a car.
Absolutely. The way a car is designed, and the way you're set up to interact with a car should fit the car, the wider mechanicals around it. When we talked a little bit about kind of gearboxes and stuff like that, but say you've got a kind of 4-door executive with, your big beefy motor up front because it's one of the higher end of the range. And inside of it, instead of it being quite a nice, smooth, more comfort and economy focused automatic, it's in a really fucking aggressive one. Doing kind of quite aggressive sports shifts and letting the car rev really, really high all the fucking time.
Yeah.
That's the kind of interior or the other parts of the car that you interact with, signifying comfort, luxury, but then it not actually being that.
That's a really good example as well, because I keep bagging on them, right? And funnily enough, it's not the Fiesta ST, but it's the Focus ST this time. So but a normal Focus isn't designed as a driver's car. Admittedly, it wasn't actually terrible as a white good. They were actually one of the funner ones to drive. But when you get to the ST, and I've never driven them, but I'd imagine the RS is the same. But they don't feel special. It's clearly it's a white good that's designed for Dave and his family, and that's it. And then an accountant somewhere said, oh, do you know what? I bet we can market this to people. So we'll stick a fancy engine in it, and we'll put some inserts in the seats, and we'll put Recaros on, and we'll put some fancy alloys and nice bumpers and that on it, and then that'll sell really well. And it did sell really well, but ergonomically, it's a fucking shithole. Like, the seats feel like you're sitting on the roof. Like, they do, man. Like, it's the sit in versus sit on, which for me,
do you know what? I totally agree. My experience from driving both a normal Focus and an ST, I have no idea what mark they would have been. 2 question mark 3 maybe. But both of them had. I felt the seating position was much too high. It felt like kind of driving a bus a little bit, and because you sat so high, it made the body roll that the car had feel so much more extreme.
Yeah.
It felt wobbly. That's what both of the cars, they felt wobbly and a bit top heavy, and I think it was mostly due to the seating position, just not being for me.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like, that I test drove a Focus ST in my younger days when I was very misguided and thought I want something relatively quick. And I didn't go for it in the end. But like, I couldn't imagine owning one of those with the standard seats. You'd have to rip those out and put a seat mount in, like with a decent bucket seat to get yourself lower down. They're just fucking horrible.
Absolutely, but that worries me slightly. If those seats are normally that high, is that to do with like having quite a high dash?
Well, you see, the thing is though, like a high dash works with a low seat. Admittedly, I say this as somebody that's quite tall. But
yeah, do you know what? That is totally true. I'm not thinking like you. Any kind of lower seat is good for you.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. So you know the Toyota Supra. I know you've never driven one, but I have driven numerous, and owned one. And it was the seats in that were actually pretty low, man. Like, you sat in it versus sat on it with like a Mark II Focus, and they had a pretty high dash. And I actually, one of my pals,
fair enough. You are right. Like, they do have quite a high dash.
Yeah, because like they've got a high dash, but then again, it's kind of relative. I don't know if it's as high as a Focus Mark II, but like, I had one of my pals locally who owned a Supra as well. He's quite short. He's all of like 5 foot nothing. And like, he never sort of mentioned visibility as a problem. And I mean, I had like almost a foot and a half on him in height. So I don't know.
Back on track, I do agree that seating position matters. Like, I could kind of vent about seating position in a lot of cars, because I mean, I remember distinctly. Do you know what I have a real issue with? Speaking of like the ergonomics of sitting in a car and stuff like that.
Mazda 3. What?
Mazda 3. This is the car that I first really encountered this problem. I've run into it a few other times, but it was egregious. Is the large center, like the bottom kind of center area in between the passenger and driver's seat, like the center console, but not on the dash, in between, where the gear stick and handbrake are.
Yeah, man.
Making that really, really wide, just where my leg is, so that I'm constantly having my left leg pushed in, or it's rubbing up against the center console, because it's just fucking bulbous. It's such a weird thing. It means that it's like sitting on a bus or a train, where the seats are always super cramped and there's never like enough space.
Yeah, man.
But it's your own fucking car.
Yes.
Like, I kind of want the space.
I totally understand your gripe here, as the owner of plus-sized feet.
Oh my god, yeah. Do you have problems with pedal boxes just not having enough room for your...
Yes, constantly. You know the Citroen Saxos?
Aye.
Impossible for me to drive. I cannot operate the clutch by itself. My feet are so big that I hit the clutch and the brake. And if I try to accelerate, I also hit the brake. And if I try to brake, I can sometimes hit all 3 pedals in one go. It's fucking ridiculous. And like, when I have drove them in the past, I end up having to do this really weird thing where it's like I'm sitting down, but I'm on my tippy toes to like push the pedals. It's like driving with chopsticks.
I can imagine that. Yeah, 100%. So stuff like that bothers me, and especially in cars where they're not. If you were making a performance vehicle and it was a bit uncompromising, and you're like, do you know what? the people can have a narrower footwell for their feet because it's important to the overall design of the car. Fine, right? But when it's in like just kind of, a Mazda 3, just keep the space. I don't
Yeah.
need this extra massive wide fucking cubby hole in the center console for storing rubbish. Tat.
Absolutely, I'm on board because, like, how I mentioned when we were talking about like the build or buy episode, and I bought a pedal box for my Supra, and honestly, it wouldn't have been much bigger than like the pedal box in a Saxo, but it was the most beautifully designed item of control equipment I've ever seen. Right,
Mm-hmm.
and my feet fit everywhere. I could heel and toe beautifully. I could do anything I would need to, and it just worked. And a lot of it was to do with the sizing of everything. But it was clear that the engineer who put pen to paper for that specific pedal box knew a thing or two about what he was doing in Egronomics,
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't bespoke built, it was just an actual product.
Yeah, it was just an actual product. It was an OPB, OBP, Optimum Balance Products, they're called. And it was like a 1,200 quid pedal box. It was designed for a Mark IV Supra. And it was like really tall pedals. And then you had a box underneath that contained all the master cylinders, and they all got piped off to external reservoirs and stuff. It was absolutely beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, okay.
Really good bit of kit. So anybody that's looking for anything like that, give OBP a shout. I'm pretty sure they're an Australian company, but they know their shit. Like, and what they design just works. It's beautiful equipment.
Cool. Yeah, totally.
Again, just as a disclaimer, we're not sponsored by OBP, but if OBP are listening and they want to give us a sponsorship, we're not going to say no. But yeah, no, well, seats is a big one. And the other thing that I don't like about seats, or that I have a problem with, is seats that just don't have any side support.
Oh my god, yes, you really notice it. See, if you spend time in a car where there is a lot of side support, and then you get into just like a normal car that's just got like kind of like a flat seat, it's like being in, those old American cars that had the single like bench seat across the front.
Yes.
It feels like being in one of those. Every time you go around the corner, you're like just getting chucked out of the seat.
I do know exactly what you mean. Like, do you know the worst one? The Ford Ka.
Which car?
Like the Mark 1, the bubble one. You know, the one that's always got loads of rust.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. They are probably quite a rare sight, especially a decent nick one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, see one that was in decent nick now, I bet it's worth a fortune.
I don't know about a fortune. It'll be worth a bit, but I don't know about a fortune. They did not come with any good engines, the Ford Ka. Was it not just the 1.2?
It was a 1.2 and the 1.3, and the 1.3 made less power than the 1.2.
Was it? Yeah. Did they come with a 1.2, or was it just the 1.3?
Oh, actually, no. In fact, no, I'm sure they came with a 1.6 in them as well.
That'd be a bit more spicy.
Because there was the Sport Cat. Oh my God, we're so far off.
Sport Cat.
We're just so far from anything that makes sense talking about the Sport Cat. It was the one that was the soft top as well. So it was like a soft top.
Yes, there was the street car.
That's it. Yes.
Street car. Do you know what? You could get a 1 litre, a 1.3, a 1.6. You get a 1.6 Z-Tech in them. That's all right. That would have been a decent motor for that car.
Yeah, it's a bit like the 1.8 in the Toyota Yaris. It kind of like that would kind of work to make something surprisingly nippy.
So yeah, the street car and the sport car are the ones you're looking for because they get the 1.6 Z-Tech.
Well, it's like 105 brake horsepower in a 1.6 Z-Tech.
90. According to the wiki, it's 94.
Ah, fair enough.
But like you're not far off on that one. You could probably get 110 out of it, maybe 105.
Probably.
So yes, you were talking about the Ford Ka before I started talking about Ford Kas as well.
No, it's okay. It's a car program. It doesn't matter if it's a shit car. It's still a car.
Do you know what? I bet they're really fun to rag about.
Well, see, this was the thing, right? Because I remember road testing a few of them. Not like because I was looking to buy them through my job. and it was like, these are actually quite good fun. Like, they're go-kart-esque. I'm going to catch some shit for saying this, but a little bit like an original Mini in the formula, not in the application. So, like, small engine, wheel in each corner, and really simple and really light. And, like, they handled, like, well for what they were. Like, way more
Yeah.
than any little city car has any right to handle. Like,
They were a third gen Fiesta underneath, just with like
essentially.
a new kind of bit of jazz on top. And like, do you know what? I had a Mark IV, which was basically just a Mark III with a facelift. I don't think they really changed too much. Slightly newer motors, but like the Fiesta I had actually drove all right. Like, it handled pretty nicely. It was a little go-kart. Just didn't have any power.
Yeah. And I mean, like the Puma as well, it was Fiesta based. We are well off now, but the Puma was Fiesta based, and like you get a Ford Racing Puma, like as in the actual model, the Ford Racing model with the 1.7.
Absolutely. I really like the Puma. Like,
I
it's
like
a
them.
cool car.
They
Really cool
look,
car.
see, they look really cool from the front and the side profile, but from the back they just look a bit meh.
What, from the back?
Yeah, I could never get on right with like the look of them from behind. Like from the side profile and from the front, they looked amazing. But they just didn't do it for me. Like if you were behind one and you saw it, you'd be like, "Fuck, that looks awkward, man."
It does have kind of a bit of an awkward rear end.
But I mean, as a driving machine, as like a tool for carving up a B road.
The problem with the rear end is it feels
Yeah.
like they've got that kind of oval loop. You know, the wing and then the kind of bottom of the bumper makes this kind of weird oval loop, and it feels like they've had to squeeze everything in.
Yeah,
I think I think the wing really fucks with the rear shape of that car.
yeah, they're very busy.
Yeah, and you're totally, which is a shame because like they are actually a really nice car. I mean, I don't hate that. Yeah, it is a bit awkward, the rear of that car, a little bit awkward.
But when you see them from the front, it's like, oof. That was
Yeah,
when
they look
Ford
great. They
was.
look like this like fantastic little sports car that you want to like learn more about.
Oh yeah, like Ford was on top of their game at that point with like design. It's probably the last time there was actually a nice Ford designed, to be fair.
Ooh, the Ford
I'm
Puma was
going.
the last good-looking Ford. That's a bold statement that I just heard you make there.
Well, I'm sure as fuck not going to say it's a Fiesta ST.
I mean, I'm not big fan, but come on, do you count the Mustang as Ford?
Oh,
Because like the Mustang does look good.
okay, right. Hold on. Proviso: it's the last good car Ford UK made, because if you're going to throw the Mustang at me, I'm going to throw the Ford Kuga at you. You know, the one that's spelt with a K.
Oh, you know, I know the one. You could, I mean, there's definitely loads of terrible Fords that you could argue this back with. Like, I'm just trying to think of the one or two decent ones that they've made. I mean, you don't like the way that the RS looks, the Focus RS.
Nah, same problem as the Fiesta ST, man. It's just a bit boring. Like, you see them everywhere, and it's just like, well, it's one that's in a frock, and the
You know,
engines are crap. The engines keep exploding.
you know when they first came out, I actually really liked them, but over time, I'm less interested in the RS.
Yeah. I would really like to have a go in a new Focus RS, so like the Mark III, because I'd like to see if it suffers from what like the ST in the Mark II suffered from, which is the really high seats, and it just doesn't feel very special. It's like you just got a moderately mediocre engine with like a little bit of flair added round it, and I didn't get on with them at all.
Yeah, I mean, I totally fair. I did not get on with the Focus either. It was like I don't really have that much against them. I just found the seating position no the best than the ones that I've driven.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, like I like you. I like to be as low as possible. It's the first thing. If there's a seat adjusting option, the first thing I do is get myself as low as I can,
Yes,
and like kind of like sit in the car as much as possible.
definitely. I want if the seat can just sit on the floor, I'd be happy with that. Like I don't even need a seat rail, just bolt the fucker in place. Ideally,
Yeah,
bolt it in place in a position that works for my size, but just bolt it down. Like
yeah. That's how I designed when I designed the mount for steering wheel and pedals to the to have a car seat for it. I positioned it so that I was basically like almost legs fully outstretched, like just a little bit of curve in them, like I was in like a single seater kind of style, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
That's how I kind of arranged it, because it's good, feels good.
Yeah, man. Like there's nothing nicer than having your feet stretched out in front of you, and like you're just literally like tapping the pedals with your feet. There's no leg movement at all.
Aye.
And because you're so well anchored at that point and you're not having to move your legs around, it's suddenly like you don't have to brace yourself for steering, you know? Like you don't have to brace yourself against the wheel to hold yourself still, because you can let the seat do its work because you're well anchored, and then it improves the feel you get through the steering wheel, because you can suddenly have a really light tactile feel of the steering. And
absolutely.
It just works.
The weirdly the only thing that's electric on my car's front seats are the bolster tightness.
I like that though.
And I like it snug. Like I do quite like to be like quite well held. It's usually the first thing people do when they jump in the car is moan about how tight it feels in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
But like to be fair, when I'm driving with people in the car, I never really you don't need the bolsters to be tight, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're not full sending it all the time.
No, just picking someone up from the shops, full send there, full send back. No,
it's very true. Like, and see with the placement as well. There's one thing that I've always thought, right, this would be absolute perfection, but now this was like quite an early thought, like in my car enthusiast career. I don't know why I did air quotes there. You can't fucking see them. But you know the McLaren F1, how it's a three-seater?
Yeah.
So there's the seat in the middle, and then there's two to either side, right? And I'd love a go in a car that has a central driver's seat.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, that's quite... Yeah, but that's better. I think that would be much better, having a lovely central driving position.
And I used to think it was like that was like how every car should be, right? But then as I got further into driving and everything, and the idea of driving in a McLaren F1 got further and further away as a distant possibility, I've kind of got to the point where sitting on the right-hand side, see what I did there, just perfectly. Like it just works so well. And especially having driven like a left hooker in the UK or a right hooker in Europe, I don't know if I think it would be that great.
What, all being mounted in the middle?
Yeah, because like, see when you drive a left hooker in a country that drives on the left side of the road, it's horrible. And the same when you drive a right hooker in a country that drives on the right side of the road, like they do in mainland Europe, for example, that's horrific. It's horrible.
I do agree it is an extra faff, like. But what if everyone's car had a seat in the middle at the front and then some rows of seats behind them?
Well, see, this is different now, because the problem that you run into with the placement of a seat being left or right-hand drive is essentially what the problem is all the infrastructure is built for that configuration.
Also, so, like, right-hand drive and driving on the left does make sense.
It does.
So, yeah, okay, fair. But from a driver's perspective, the place you want to be is in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how much kind of understanding of like gaps and like how much easier spatial awareness is on like a go-kart or in like a single seater or something like that.
Oh yeah, like I'm not arguing against that, but I mean because really, like, I'm looking at this for like a B-road blaster, but then even then, like, just from a performance point of view, if you take usability out of the equation,
which I always do.
Yeah, that's fair, actually. I came at this from an odd angle, because this is not about usability. That's a compromise. This is all about performance and the driver's car.
Yeah, how dare you bring practicality into this? I'll have none of that.
I know, I feel disgusted in myself. I'm not going to lie. Like, fucking dickhead, you forgot the fucking idea of your own episode.
What makes compromise to driver's car?
Yeah, no, let's forget about the compromising idea that I put forward there. But yeah, like, even like design wise, like mass centralization and everything else, it just makes sense. The only problem is you kind of run out of places to put stuff in a front engine rear wheel drive car because you're sitting on top of your gearbox tunnel.
Yes, astride the gearbox tunnel.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so there may be some design issues that need to be overcome.
Yeah, but certainly for front wheel drive, or mid-engine rear wheel drive, or even rear engine. Oh my God! Imagine a Porsche 911 with a seat in the middle.
Aye, that would be pretty cool.
That would be incredible. So it would.
Yeah, totally. That must have been done. Surely someone's done that.
Oh, I don't know. Like, we could be the first. That could be our debut on YouTube. Is that we're making the ultimate driver's car 911.
The only one of us can drive at a time.
No, so we'll do exactly what McLaren did, though. So we'll basically weld the floor pan, floor pan flat in the middle, and then put moldings in at the sides, so we can run all the cooling pipes down one side of the car and all the brake pipes down one side of the car. In fact, just put the brake pipes down the inside of the interior, and then bring the exhaust down the other. No, what the fuck am I talking about? The engine's in the back. It's literally just for cooling. And if it's a turbo or a four-wheel drive one, a drive shaft, but we just delete that and make it rear-wheel drive. That could be an amazing, amazing project, Tom.
It would be really cool. Honestly, making anything center driving position would be an interesting project.
Do you know, actually, right? Do you remember the golden days of television where Scrap Heap Challenge was on the TV?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
I remember watching that, and they got a Fiesta and put an Alfa Romeo V6 in it. I'm sure it was a V6 in the back of it to make it rear-engined, and then put the driver's seat in the middle. And it drove with like so much front rake, like the nose of the car was like digging into the ground all the time, and it was amazing.
Yeah, man, I used to love that show. It was so good.
It was. I miss that. I really do miss it. That was class.
You could watch a surprising amount of it on Channel 4 online.
Can you?
Yes.
Oh, right. Anyone listening that doesn't know what we're talking about, go to Channel 4 online. It'll be like channel4.co.uk, isn't it, Tom, or something like that?
I've got no idea. I'd usually just type it into the bar, Channel
Yeah.
4.
And have a look. It'll blow your mind. But anyway, right, back to the fucking the matter at hand. So yeah, man. So 911 with a centrally mounted seat. We need to do it.
Okay, so first of all, we need a 911.
I see a lot of crashed ones. That would actually be perfect because I don't really.
Well,
want
we're not really needing any of the interior, are we?
No, like it's gonna get chopped up, so it's fine. Yeah, man, this could be cool.
Well, why don't we'll design the perfect car ergonomically from a driver's perspective while we talk about the different facets? Because I've probably got other stuff to moan about in cars. Like, since you spend a lot of time inside your car, that's usually where my beefs lie with like design decisions and the way stuff feels.
Yes. Now on that dash shape, like what do you think? Because Sorry, I'll
I have opinions. I have opinions.
Hit me.
So it's gonna be flat, pretty low, so I can see as much stuff as possible, and then small bump that holds your kind of dash cluster. I don't care if it's a square bump or a rounded bump or a designed bump, as long as it fits the aesthetic, I'm fine with it. But I don't like ones that have like really, like when your instrument cluster will eclipse the top of your steering wheel. I think that's not quite right. Like, you want to be able to view your instruments through the gaps in the steering wheel. I can't tell you how many fucking cars I've driven where I'm sitting in a comfortable seating position and the steering wheel is in direct eye line to 40 to 70 mile an hour on the speedo. In fact, kind of 40 beyond until you get to, like the silly funny numbers like 140 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so you end up having to like look down or look up or like move your position to glance at what speed you're doing. That's like really fucking annoying. Very small thing, but really fucking annoying.
No, I disagree. It's not a really small thing. It's the biggest fucking cardinal sin anyone in the fucking history of the planet and universe can commit when designing a fucking dashboard. There's nothing worse than when you're looking and you can't see because the rim of the steering wheel is over the top.
Yeah, but you can't see anything. It's so annoying. You should be able to glance through the steering wheel at the instrument cluster.
Like, it totally negates the entire purpose of having a gauge, which is to transmit information to you.
Absolutely. And honestly, some people might not agree, but I'd call speed and like RPM kind of critical information when you're driving.
Yeah. I would say more RPM than speed.
I mean,
like,
I'd say more speed than RPM. Like, it's not. I like the tack. It's the driver's part of it. But when you're cutting about, it's good to know roughly what speed you're going because it's easy to go too fast.
Yeah, no, I get that. But you're making it fucking usable again. This is about the ultimate driver's car, not the most usable one.
Okay. So, very, very small instrument cluster that you can actually see that has one tack and then on an oil pressure gauge and then a voltmeter as well.
Yeah.
No speed limit, no speedo, just nothing. Maybe like a little bit of paper tie, like that's just behind the bit of glass where the tack's kept, or behind the perspex where the tack's kept. It just has like 50 in third at this RPM. I like that as a solution to speed.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So I agree with pretty much everything you said there, right? But when you said dash shape and you went flat, I was like, oh no, I cannot agree with this, Tom. So I really like sitting in like a cockpit. Like, if it feels like a fighter jet, that's a win. And the absolute best example of this is the Toyota Supra.
Yes, no, I think this is where we will aggressively diverge, because I don't know if I really like the Toyota Supra's kind of weird fighter jet cabin.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure about it, man. I'm not sure. I get that it's driver focused, but it's also like not for me.
Fair enough, man. Different strokes for different folks, but I loved it. Like, because like when you draw like a line down the center of your wheel, like, and then take your dash from there, it's totally symmetrical, and then it like blends into the door card, and then your center console's like all part of the dash still.
Yeah, I totally get you.
So like,
totally get you.
It works as like an armrest for when you're changing gear. Like, for me, it just fit perfectly. And the way that the seat height was, and like my left arm fell to the gear stick, it was like my entire forearm was supported on the center console, and it was literally just a wrist movement to change gear instead of an arm movement.
Do you know what, right? I will totally give you that, because thinking back, the MR2 had a very similar. It had a really, really high central kind of console area, like the center area between the two seats. Yes. So you couldn't easily get from one seat to the other. You had to go over it. It was really high up, but it was a perfect resting your arm height, and it went all the way to the gear stick, so you could just comfortably rest there. And like, I did really like that. That was comfortable as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, see, that's interesting. I really don't mind having a tall kind of center partition in the front, as long as it's not fucking wide.
Yeah, because like the Supra one wasn't particularly wide. It was maybe 3 times the width of my forearm, which is probably about average. Like, if you go into like a modern 5 Series or something like that, they're fucking colossal. Like, you can near enough get a third seat in the middle.
Yeah. On the RX-8?
No, like a modern 5 Series.
Oh my god, yeah, but modern cars are super wide. Like, you could probably get 3 seats in the front of them if you were a bit more economical with space.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, Honda did.
What was that in?
The FRV. It was the replacement for the HRV.
Oh my god, I don't even know what they are. Are they are they people boxes?
Yeah, pretty much.
I honestly, I don't need to know, man. Sorry, I don't know if I care about them.
The fun joke that we always used to say when I worked at Honda, and I don't know anybody on the mechanics, like the getting dirty side of it in Honda garages, that didn't refer to a HRV as a hormone replacement vehicle. But yeah, that's we're getting away from the subject again. Down to what could be potentially a problematic subject.
honestly, I'm looking at a picture of the Mark IV Supra's interior at the moment, right? And what I'm going to say is, it gets, in my opinion, it does actually get quite a lot right. What I mean about level is the fact that there's no big massive bulges in the kind of width to width of the interior, apart from like the bit that wraps around. I'm not really sure about the way that it's kind of like wraps around and focused on the driver. Like I totally get what the point of that is. I just don't know if I'm a big fan of it. But
Fair
also
enough.
importantly, the 3 gauges or the 3 gauge cluster, it's low. Like you can see that directly through the steering wheel. They're all positioned really, really well.
Oh yeah.
That's something that's really important. Like that properly matters.
And like, see, one thing that they were really good at when they designed this is everything is clear. Like, it's a black face with white letters, orange needles, and everything is really well backlit. And you can glance at it like momentarily through the bottom of your view, like just glancing down to see it. And it's instantly readable. It doesn't take like a lot of effort to ascertain what information you're looking at here.
Yeah, it's clear. That's the important thing. Absolutely. Yeah, it's got quite a lot of tat associated with it. I think, what Honda note of that generation, certainly, because my MR2 was just the fucking same, don't get right is the blending of different materials and interfaces and joins.
Yes,
Like,
I
what
agree
the
with
fuck is
that.
up with that upper glove box in the Mark IV Supra?
Oh, I like that.
But it just doesn't even fit. That would be nice as like maybe a more smoothed part. There's a lot of joins and connections, panel gaps, as they would say.
Yes, no, I'll give you that one. They are a very bitty interior. Like, there's a lot of bits to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean that kind of brings me on to. Do you know what? I've not hated a lot of the interiors of my cars in general. Like it is a criteria for picking them. You've got to kind of like the place that you sit.
Oh yeah,
So like, you know, like one of the things that, and I'm going to praise the TT. I did like about the TT is I thought it had actually quite a nice, clean, minimalistic interior.
yeah, I'll give you that.
It was reasonably nice. And even though when I bought it, it was like, oh God, I have no idea how old it would be, like 15-year-old or something like that, maybe more. When I bought one, it still felt relatively modern in the way it looked, not in what it had in it. Obviously, it had like zero kind of modern conveniences, but like it still looked pretty good and pretty sharp, and I was happy with that.
Yeah, I get that. Like, because one of the cars I've had in recent time, well, I say recent times, in the last decade was an E65 series. And it had a very flat dash. And if I had a passenger in that car, they could fuck with my radio and they could fuck with quite a
Mm,
lot of the stuff in the center console.
I do
And
understand that, yeah.
that's not a problem. But it was always I always found that everything was placed in a way that was like it was to make it easier for both the passenger and the driver to use it. Whereas I don't think that's right. Like if there was a slight cant on all the radio and heating controls, for example, that canted them towards me as the driver, it would have made a lot more sense for me as a design. I know they've got iDrive and everything else, but like all my volume controls were on there, and I didn't like using the wheel ones because it didn't fucking work because it was secondhand 5 Series that somebody had fucked about with electrically. So like I couldn't use the steering controls, so I had to use the one on the dash. And again, like the heating controls and everything else, it was like, why do I have to reach to get that? It's my fucking car, you know? It should be aimed at the driver, not other people that just happen to be in the car.
Fair enough. You've got a very driver first mentality. I mean, what I would say is I don't really push that many buttons when I'm like actually driving a car to enjoy it. And a lot of the time I delegate my button pushing to whoever's in the passenger seat when I do need to do it. Like I'm not really one of those people who's like, it's my car, it's my music, we're playing right now. I'm like, just chuck whatever you want on, you do it kind of deal.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, for me, it's fine. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, I don't really, as a driver, I don't really push many of the buttons. Like, I remember when I was a kid, and like my folks got a different car. I'd always be like, does it have a manual? And I'd be like fucking flicking through the manual and seeing like what of all of the stuff that the car could have, the one we had, if you know what I mean. Like, does it have a car phone? That kind of nonsense. And like the recent kind of cars I've had, I've not even really looked at the manual when I've bought them. I've like just not cared. Like, I've maybe referred to a page or two when I've had to do something, but I've not like actually had a proper flick through it and to see like all of the different features and options the car has. Like, I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah, man, that is fair. Like, I used to do that as a way. That was actually a something that tutors at college said to us as mechanics when we were trainees and that. And they're like, when you get a new car in, have a look through the manual, because it's amazing how many times you're going to have somebody ask you a question that's really fucking oddly specific to that car and you will not know. And it's like, well, aye, fair enough. And it pays dividends, because like I can now go into pretty much any car on the planet and be like, I know what button does everything in here, and I don't have to
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, you get a rental car and you're like, why the fuck? Why Peugeot? Why? Why is this button here? Why is it in this menu?
Tom,
Yeah.
is that perhaps a true story you're talking about there?
I've been probably in some way, I've been annoyed by many different cars. I think in a way I get angry at things I don't immediately understand or are new to me, which doesn't sound great. I just like, you know how there's like most cars follow a particular convention, but then every now and again you get one car where the manufacturer decided to try and reinvent the wheel a little bit with like something. And do you know what? It might be a better idea, but it's an idea I'm not used to. And therefore, every time I jump into the car, I'm going to forget about it and I'm going to get angry.
Yeah, man, I totally get that. Well, I don't totally get it, because I'm going to sound like a prick here. It's not something I'm very accustomed to happening, but that is not a comment on anybody but myself, because I'm driving loads of different cars all the time.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. I mean, like, it's just stupid stuff. It's really, really small stuff. Like cars that have really weirdly positioned door releases. You know, they're in like a pillar rather than just on the door where they usually are.
Yes, TVR, I believe. I've never dealt with them, but I believe TVR were quite bad for this, where like they made cars with no door handles on the outside, for example, and there was like a little switch under the door, under the door mirror, that actually opened the door.
Yeah, and some of the Lecky cars where they have like handles that like pop out and stuff like that. You know, I'm just no thanks. Just give us a handle. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll open it myself. Honest, I can do it. I've done it before. I feel like that's another big thing for me in interior wise. There's a lot of extra tat that you get with cars, and you know, honestly, I barely used the features that I had on my first car. Like, I never really ever used the aircon. Like, I mean, that was kind of all it really had. It had a tape deck. I used that occasionally, and the radio. But like, you know, you don't need anything more than that. As long as I can Bluetooth music from my phone or connect my phone to the car and play my music, that's literally all I care about. I'll even put up with a shit sat nav. I'd prefer I didn't, but I'd put up with it.
Yeah, man. No, I get that. Because there is an awful lot of tat in them, and really, this is there's actually this is a massive topic, but there's one I want to quickly cover before we go on to this, right? And
Lay
that's,
it on me.
you know, in air quotes, over assisted steering, right? And how you see it all the time on, like, if you're watching Top Gear or Fifth Gear or anything like that, they're like, oh, the steering's electric and it's crap and it's too heavy or it's too light and it's this and it's that. And genuinely, in fact, I want to know your opinion before I say how I feel about it, because I want to know if I'm like, I want an uncolored opinion from you, basically. And do you think it's like been blown up out of proportion, or is it like actually a mental issue that's facing cars?
Ooh. So, I don't necessarily have too much of a problem with electric steering, provided it's done honestly. I kind of prefer just like a basic, not really. I mean, the car I enjoyed driving the most was that MR2, and that definitely did not have power steering when I was driving it. It was an absolute fucking ball ache to park and navigate at slow speeds. It was like it felt so heavy, but it was great. It felt great, and I was kind of willing to put up with the fact that parking in town could be a long and embarrassing process. and I'd need a
Yeah.
change of clothes afterwards.
Yeah, man.
But like, I was okay with that, and I also have vivid memories of learning to drive in a 1.2 Clio. Probably like, don't know, was it the Mark II Clio, like the last of the small ones?
Oh, I think it would have been, yeah.
And it was a 1.2, and it had really incredibly light steering straight off the bat. Like it was properly, you could like juggle the fucking steering wheel about in your hands and stuff like that. And it also had a button that was city mode, which made the steering even lighter. It was one of the ones you could spin like a ship's wheel.
Oh, I love a city mode button.
I was not a
Love
fan
it.
of the way that car drove. Like I just did not like how light and like it. Honestly, it made the steering feel twitchy on the car, but the car itself wasn't twitchy.
Yes.
Like the steering felt too fast for the rest of the car, and it felt a bit too light. So I actually might be one of those horrible kind of curmudgeons that's like, direct steering, but don't need power steering, bring back just grr, rack and pinion, grr.
Right. So first off, I fucking agree with that 100%. If you want good steering feel, don't have power assisted fucking steering. It's as simple as that. And for me personally, if I was given the choice between having power steering or not having power steering because I want a nice car that's nice to drive and has a lovely tactile feel and steering, I could put up with having to have bigger arms to park the fucking thing.
Yeah, passive workout. What's not to love?
And like honestly, one of the finest like driver's chassis I've driven was the RX-8. Legitimately. Now, people are going to disagree, but when you get properly used to an RX-8, as in driving it and how the chassis responds and everything else, like and it had electric steering. This is one of the weirdest things that was like about it for me is I was in the trade at the time. I just came off my apprenticeship and I went and bought one. And one of the mechanics came, oh, they've got electric steering in them. That's no good. I'm like, really? Like, your fucking big worry with this fucking rotary engined car is that it doesn't have hydraulic steering, not the fact that it makes power by bouncing a metal Dorito around inside a fucking metal oval. Like, that's your fucking problem with it.
Yeah, but you know what people are like. They've always got to have something negative to say, don't they?
That's it, exactly. But like, this was the thing that got me. Like, the steering was neither particularly light nor particularly heavy. And for me, the biggest difference in the steering wheel feel was the tyres. As soon as I put decent tyres on it, i.e. not Bridgestone REO 70s or whatever the fuck that came on at standard, because they were crap. As soon as I put decent tyres on it that had a bit of stickiness about them, the steering feel was fantastic. The flex through the body shell was just chef's kiss. Like, Mazda know a thing or two about tactile driving feedback. The steering feedback was fantastic. The feedback through your arse, like through the seat, the flex of the body around you, like you could actually feel it moving power across the back axle with a limited slip. Like you could feel that through the body shell. And it was next level. Like, and the steering being electric didn't make a single fucking jot of difference to it being a good steer. Would it have had better steering feel if it was unassisted? Probably, but that's true for every car on the planet.
Yeah, and also there's like an argument that you could make though that like not all cars are maybe suitable to be unpower assisted.
Yeah, like I'm not suggesting like a super mini where it could be driven by anybody from realistically, because you can get your license with a disability at 16 in the UK instead of waiting until you're 17. Realistically, that could be driven from anything from a 16-year-old lassie to a 92-year-old man. And neither of those two options need steering that's really fucking heavy. It's just going to cause more issues than anything.
But also, Super Mini would be a perfect car to not have power assisted steering on because it's small, it's light, it's quite agile. You'd essentially be building a go-kart at that point, though.
Yeah, but then when we were talking about driver's car, so like as you said, let's build our car as we're going through. So we've got. I'm just going to use a Porsche 911 as the argument car, right? So
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's the bit. That's the platform, and we're making adjustments from there.
So we've got Porsche 911, flat floor. We've got the seat in the middle, gear stick on the right, no, on the left hand size because we're used to driving right hookers. Handbrake on the right because we don't really need to use it. Certainly
interesting. You're not putting the handbrake with the gear stick. Oh, I suppose because we're sitting in the middle, aren't we? Yeah, no, handbrake on the right's fine by me. Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got perfectly sized fixed steering wheel with like an Alcantara grippy finish. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I mean I'm fine. I'm on board. Nothing too
With
big, not like a bus steering wheel.
a more or less flat dash with the pod right in the middle, and the pod's about the height of the steering wheel rim, and we can perfectly see gauges through it. And all the controls are arranged in 2 columns coming down the side because there's no other place to put them. So your heating controls or anything like that, they're in 2 pods on either side of the dash that kind of straddle where the driver is. Make sense?
Yeah, I'm on board.
Cool. So we've made our fiberglass dash, flocked it. It's looking amazing. Motorsport. We keep or we don't have power steering.
I'm saying ditch it.
Right, so we keep the hydraulic rack, but we put a feedback loop on it so it's not powered. So we just circulate a bit of hydraulic fluid when we turn it. So it doesn't do anything, it's just in there for cooling and lubrication. Yeah?
Yep.
Cool. So we've already covered gauges. There's not going to be any screens, is there?
Probably not. I mean, like this thing feels like it's getting quite serious, and screens are not serious.
Well, I'm going to be a dick and throw in like a wee curveball here, right? Because do we have like screens for information feedback?
I mean, I do love data and stuff like that, but you know what? I'm saying no.
No.
I'm saying this is pure. This is not a race car. This is a car you get in to drive about, to enjoy the experience of driving. Like, this is the kind of car where you're like ripping about, having a great time. Like, you might not even be going that fast, but you're absolutely ripping about, having a great time. And it feels like you are, like really pushing the car along. You're right on the edge. You can feel it, if you know what I mean. And I don't think I'm looking at a screen in that. I'm not looking I'm looking on the road. I'm in the moment. I'm not being like, oh, I could probably go a little bit faster here. I've got headroom from the data.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I'll give you that. Yeah, I was just playing devil's advocate, man. Like, I was kind of going along. We both have quite strong feelings about screens in cars. And the overall theme of those feelings is that they don't fucking belong.
Yeah, honestly, I totally get it. Like, you can have a screen. You can have like a timing screen if you were, doing some like track stuff. I'm not like against the idea of a screen. It's just I never really fucking use them when I'm driving. Try and avoid them. They're not something that's too important to me in the car.
Yeah, no, absolutely, totally fair as well.
I remember that TT I had the wrecked gauge cluster bang smack in the middle of the dash in the cluster. The actual screen was like just completely shagged. It was a common issue on them, and I found a place like genuinely just up the road from me that did it. They would even strip the dash out for me so I wouldn't have to bother, and then they told me how much it cost, and I was like, you know what, I'm fine. I don't need that screen. I don't look at it enough anyways. I don't look at it enough for the money that they quoted.
No, they're an expensive repair, so they are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like. What would it tell me? My MPG. All right, great. I know it's shit.
Yeah,
That's it. Care. That's all I need to know.
That's fair, like very fair. So no screens at all. We're just wanting analog gauges, possibly like a little map light for the 2 seats to your sides, but they'll be set back off you, so it wouldn't be in there like your eye line as a driver. Solely for like navigating duties and shit.
Are we sold on this? Are we sold on this whole 3 seats thing? Because like in my hypothetical imaginary having a fun time scenario, it's really just me in the car.
Ah, fair enough. See, I quite like to share the danger.
See, I don't. I find the danger's best served solitary. I was genuinely reflecting on this when last week I went. I picked up some friends and we went for a walk along the coast. And I was just kind of like pottering about, and then when I dropped the last friend off, I was like, okay, I can drive home now. I can enjoy this drive. It's like it's late. It's a good time for it. And I was kind of like, pushing on. I thought, God, I really do like I would only ever drive like this on my own.
Yeah.
I'm not keen on having any kind of accident with other people in the car. I wouldn't be able to handle that. That'd be too much guilt.
That's fair. It's fair enough. I mean, let's look at it from another way then. Say you're not B road blasting, right? And we all go on a trip to Nürburgring, and there's, I don't know, 3 of us, for argument's sake. And somebody takes the modded Porsche down, and somebody takes, I don't know, fucking car A and car B down, and we're like, we all want to experience the lunatic modded Porsche. And it's like, we could all jump in, all get helmeted up, all harnessed in. Safety's like there, it's done. There's no issue at all.
Box ticked, boom.
So now you're going full fucking send with 2 guys in the car alongside you, egging you on. You're getting close to that 11 tenths area where you're like losing control is near, but you're in a nice controlled environment with loads of runoff space and stuff. You're on a track. Now, do the 2 extra seats make sense?
Nah, in the bin. Fuck it. I'm doing it on my own.
Fair enough.
Everyone takes a car and has a good time on their own. I get what you mean. Like sometimes it would be great fun to go around and like be laughing your head off, having like being like way all together. I totally get that. But like I'm coming back to the driver's car part of it. And like for me, if I was to be driving, I'd probably want to be doing it on my own. I'd be sweaty try hard in it on my own.
Fair enough. No, I can't argue, bud, because I see the merit in both of them.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
Admittedly, like my real world experience with stuff like this is like nearly getting killed in a Civic Type R when we were like the 3 of us were in it. I wasn't driving actually, but like me and a couple of lads locally jumped in. We're like, we'll get up the Menick Pass and give it full send. I was like, fucking yes, boys, let's do it. And yeah, like just mentalness like that. And there's been a couple of times where the Supra got like close to 10 tenths with a passenger who was like, you couldn't do that down this road. And I'm like, fucking watch me, son.
Yeah.
But like the important thing to note is with stuff like that, it has to be like consensual.
like many things in life.
Like many things in life, yeah. Like you can't just pick somebody up pissed when they say, "Oh, geez, I left home, pal." And you're like, "All right, then jump in." Like you know them obviously, but they're not in a state to be like, it's all right if you do 120 mile an hour down this back road on the way home, so I want to get home quickly. It's like that's not acceptable. Like
yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree.
Like you have to be able to like genuinely like it sounds mental saying it like this, but you actually have to be able to like commit yourself to it. Like if you're not going to give your consent to be in a car when it's being driven close, well, let's just say in a spirited manner, then the guy shouldn't be doing it. Like, but if somebody says it's cool, let's go. I want to see what the car does, then that's fine by me. Like, there's no guilt on that if anything happens.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I do totally get it. Like, I think I'm just really aware of like the risk in some situations, and like I'm kind of only really okay with that risk when I'm on my own. For stuff like that. Like, do you remember when I was driving you back to your place after Gravity, and I was just kind of like driving down, that lot, the road into your town, in your village, and it is good fun, engaging road, and it was enjoyable, but also like I was kind of aware that like fuck, I don't really know this road. It's also nighttime, and more importantly, I've got you and Dan in the car. And like I would not be, I wouldn't be comfortable like just in case anything did happen. Like that's not a phone call I'm have any interest in like having to make or being part of. Like fuck that. So like I never really drive hard at all when I've got people in the car.
That's perfectly acceptable, man. And actually, you really are the most responsible of the 2 of us.
The more scared, the more anxious and concerned, for sure.
No, man, don't do that. Because like I actually really respect that. Like, it takes fucking bottle to be like, nah, fuck that. I'm not driving like a tit because I've got other people in the car and I don't want to injure anyone. Like, that's actually like really, that's responsible car enjoyment. And if anything, it's really something we need more of in the hobby.
Aye, totally. I think it's just, in a way, it's probably like just because of the area we grew up in. Like, how many people do you know that have been killed or killed themselves and others on the road? Like, you'll probably know a couple.
Yeah, I do actually.
Like, it's not just the wiping it out and ditching it in the shrubs on your own. It's taking your mates with you. Like, that's nah.
Yeah, no, that's not cool.
Yeah, totally know. Anyway, sorry, this is like that's quite a morose part. But you know, I do like. I think there is definitely a time and a place, and when you've got people in the car like absolutely fucking ragging it, trying to set new PBs on your favorite local road is not the time.
No, there's a time and a place. But it does actually bring us to quite an important part of car design, and that's the big squishy bit behind the wheel.
Ah, yes, the vulnerable, the fault in the chain.
Yeah, and like this is I've got a real gripe with road cars over this, right? Because everybody thinks that they're nice and safe because they're surrounded by airbags and everything else, and the dash has nice soft touch materials. But see, 90% of modern cars, like, you look at the crash that a rally car has regularly. Like, they can go end over end 9 or 10 times from 140 mile an hour to zero, usually through the medium of a few trees or a big boulder, right? And there can be body parts flying off the car and everything. And you look at the video of them inside, and it's literally just two guys sat there like, what's happening today, Dave? Nothing much, John. You? And they're getting bounced about, and it's literally just a little shock. Like, their heads wobble a little bit.
I mean,
And
they are properly strapped in. But I do get what you mean. Like, the big problem is the fact that we're not really that contained and secure to the car in cars with just like seatbelts and stuff like that. We kind of flail about and bounce about.
But the thing is, you said it there, that they're properly strapped in. Because do you know literally the only difference in chassis preparation there between a WRC car and a road car is there's lots of seam welds, so the chassis is more rigid, but then they have a proper roll cage that triangulates the suspension towers. And that's like a proper roll cage. It's probably like a 14-point cage, and it goes through the firewall at the front, through the firewall at the back, and it picks up on the top suspension mounts. So that actually would be something that's quite simple to build in to most cars. You know, if an engineer put his mind to it, it would be relatively simplistic for them to get away without having big crossbars going across your back seats. There would be ways and means in which to do it.
I mean, I suppose they do kind of have to do similar things in that they have to brace convertibles in a slightly different way. You would be adding weight for sure.
Exactly, and this is one time, like, look at motorsport. If they thought it was competitive enough, they would feed their drivers fucking laxatives for 24 hours before a race. And that's not taking the piss, that's genuine. But then you see they will add weight by the kilo, which when they're usually trying to get rid of weight by the gram is a big deal when it comes to safety. And then the biggest thing after that is a proper seat and a proper harness. And that's literally it. Like, when you get down to it, they've got a properly deep bucket seat that has good support and has head support bars at the top. And they're in a 6-point harness with anti-dive. And the car is set up to take an impact. That's literally all it is. And you're now in an age where even like your Bobby Basic 1 litre Yaris will do 110, 115 mile an hour. And I struggle to think of a road car that could actually take a shunt at that sort of speed and not just be ripped to pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose they are kind of designed to be ripped to pieces because that's the way they deal with the force, is they deal with the force by crumpling and absorbing, whereas the roll cage deals with the force by like kind of channeling it around the driver.
Yes, exactly. But the thing is, like, we're getting to a stage where most performance cars are more than capable of 155 mile an hour, because pretty much all of them are limited to that.
Oh
But
yeah.
none of them are equipped to deal with what goes wrong at that speed. And really, I think as a design question, really you need to be moving away from the idea that we can now absorb this force through crumple zones, because it just doesn't fucking work. Like, you're going too fast. You've got the kinetic energy of a ton and a half of metal traveling at whatever 155 mile an hour is in meters per second. It's a fucking lot. Ken, it's probably got to be about, I don't know off the top of my head, but I would assume it's probably got to be somewhere in the region of between 20 and 60 meters per second.
I'm going to find out because I'm really interested. 167 meters per second.
I wasn't far off from my upper estimate then, but that's a lot. So, like, I am 193 centimeters tall. So if you lay 30 of me end on end, you're doing more than that distance every second.
Yeah, you're doing 34 of you per second.
Yeah, and that's mental. Like, the kinetic energy there does not get absorbed. It just obliterates whatever it hits. So you have to redirect it.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the argument is that when you're having a crash at something like 150, the idea is that the car is sacrificed to save you. Because that is one of the things where if you don't crumple and absorb the energy is still kind of going through you. Like, you know, in rally cars, when they roll and stuff like that, that's a way of dissipating energy.
Oh,
but
yeah.
You're still experiencing all of those G-forces as the energy dissipates. You're being, like, spun around like washing in a washing machine.
Yes, I agree with that 100%, to be fair.
So is that probably... So because race cars are generally quite stiff, especially rally cars are quite stiff, is that why they kind of, like, ricochet off objects a lot?
They are very bouncy when they crash.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, like, when you come down to it, like, really, I suppose a race car is the purest expression of a driver's car. And
no,
really,
I not necessarily agree with that, because race cars are designed to go as fast as possible within a certain criteria.
Yeah,
I don't think a driver's car is designed to go as fast as possible. I think a driver's car is designed to be as fun and engaging as possible and to feel good. Because I imagine there's probably race cars out there that are fast as fuck, but feel like you're basically skating along like an inch thick ice kind of like road with fiery pits of lava on either side. Like, I bet they feel sketch.
That's fair. Okay, right. I recant that statement then.
Sorry, I didn't come down so hard and disagree. I'm like, I object.
No. I'm now that you've said it, I get the objection. Like, I can't disagree with it. Like, it makes sense. Well, with that in mind, so we've got our theoretical perfect driver's car project. So we've got to this stage. So bearing in mind that if we're not looking to go as fast as possible. So I would say realistically, about 120 mile an hour is probably what it's got to do flat out, because I want it to be nice and low geared for loads of acceleration, and I want to feel the speed lower down. So we want it to be quite raw. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's. I agree with the gearing for sure. You want to be like blasting through those gears, and yeah, it doesn't have to go ultimately that fast.
So then we're saying cage, buckets, and harnesses for the safety aspect.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would say. I don't know. I'm not necessarily sure it would be full cage, but bracing.
Like, not like a proper, like, 14-point cage that goes through the firewalls, although you may want that for the handling. But, like, we're just talking about the safety aspect of the design. So, like, a perimeter cage, if that makes sense. So it goes down the sides of your floor plan, goes across the front, goes up round the roof, and goes at the back. And that's it. Something to make like a cell that can't be crushed.
Yeah, okay. Fair.
And then we're talking bucket seats and harnesses, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And a central seating position, because we've decided on that already.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's it. Like, we've kind of designed ergonomically the car.
Yeah, I mean, we have discussed a fair bit of all of that, actually. And, like, again, probably quite a lot of agreement between us. Don't know what that says. Are we both delusional? Do we both just agree because maybe that's what we kind of gravitate towards? That's what it is?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we do have fairly similar left field views of everything in the car kind of world.
Yeah, that is fair. We do. There is a fair bit of agreement.
So, seeing as how we've designed that, right? Is there any like sort of fantastic designs or like an obscurity that pops to your mind where you're like, actually, I think I'd like a bit of that in that as well? Or not even, sorry, not even just to apply to like our theoretical project, like just that stand out in general as being like, that's a fantastic design. So it could be like just it's just a fantastic design, not necessarily that it's also amazing to drive. And also the other way about, like a car that's amazing to drive but doesn't necessarily have that all that fantastic of a design.
That's a good question. It's a good question. I mean, speaking from experience, I felt that aside from the fact that it had quite flat seats, in general, I was relatively happy with the TT's seating position and general cabin vibe and stuff like that. But I felt the car couldn't back it up.
Yeah.
Like, it was probably good that it didn't have any bolster support because it you never really got to the position where you could need it. It just it wasn't great. But then, I think that was an example of disappointment. I can't think of an example where the car's too much for the interior. I mean, like, I've driven cars with, comfortable, like, not very driver orientated interiors, like the X-Type and the Volvo basically just felt like sitting on a sofa. The Jag more so felt like sitting on a sofa, and like there was no support. You would just kind of loll about, but like also those cars lolled about, and like you couldn't really. You could push it, but all it would do is wobble about and understeer.
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to get to that high G corner where you are like actually hanging onto the steering wheel for life.
That's fair, dude. Very fair.
What about you? Have you got any like examples you want to bring up?
So I sang its praises before, but it does have one like low point, and that was the RX-8. And the bolster like side support in the seats, I could outdrive the seats, especially with decent tires on it. Like, it was getting to the point where I was having to brace myself against the wheel,
Yeah.
and that's generally bad as far as I'm concerned.
No,
But
you
apart
actually
from
don't want to
that,
be holding on to the steering wheel to like actually just stay where you are.
yeah, I mean, I hate to bring it up because it's driver's car, but the best example I can give is on a bike, be it motorbike or mountain bike. Like, if you're gripping the bars and your knuckles are white, your handling's going to be horrible because you're going to be so tense. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a really good point. Is when you're holding on, you're tense, and it's hard to drive smoothly and fluidly and with the precision you need when you're being tense.
Definitely. Like, you need to just have, like, your hand should be just sat there. It shouldn't be even gripping, if I'm totally honest. Like, when I'm on a bike or even in a car, like, a light breeze could take my hand off the wheel. Like, I am just, it's like fingertips. There's no pressure at all on the
Yeah.
wheel. Like, and if you want to have really nice fine inputs, you have to have really nice dexterity over what you're working with, and that's the idea. The other one, as I've sang its praises again, is the Supra for the dash design. For me, that's dash design 101. Like, everything's driver focused, and it
I
just
think
works.
driver focus is a big deal, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, no, that's a big deal.
I'm trying to think of obscurities or anything like anything else, but there's nothing really pops into my head. I mean, it kind of feeds into like cars that feel like sublime to drive, and the RX-8 and the Supra are right up there. Any M car previous to like 2014, I've never driven a newer one than that. I mean, even like the E39 M5, the steering felt a bit imprecise because it had like a steering box instead of a steering rack, but even that felt good, you know?
Oh, just
No, you're okay, dude. And I need to give a little mention to the Toyota Yaris because it's like just fantastic.
It's becoming a bit of a standard where it's praise Honda. No, sorry, excuse me, praise Toyota at the same time as disrespecting Ford and Volkswagen Automotive Group.
Yeah, I know. I make my beefs and then I stick with the teams that I stick with, bud.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, man. Totally fair enough.
Like, I have to say though, when you mentioned Honda there, like the S2000, oh, chef's kiss. But ergonomically, they just don't work for me. Like, I can't open the door from inside. I'm too big. They're not designed for somebody with my frame.
Aye, that's a bit heartbreaking. Like,
It is because I've driven them before, and they are like, honestly, if you get the chance, take one out. They're just fantastic.
yeah. One of the guys I know was saying that his boss just bought one, which is a strange car. You know, it's strange to buy a 20-year-old car unless you. So he's obviously into cars.
Oh yeah, nobody that goes out and buys a Honda S2000 for what people want for them now is not into cars.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be flashy, there are way newer stuff.
Oh yeah, but if you want to be classy, well, no, they have to have an honourable mention. And again, I've never driven any of them, but Lotus, I don't imagine anyone's driven a Lotus, Elise, or Exige, and then been like, they could have probably done it better. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I really liked the Lotus Elise seating position for sure. And the only shame I had with the Lotus Elise is I drove it in absolutely pissing down rain on a really, really wet track. So it was like with a nervous instructor as well.
yeah,
They always seem very nervous. Maybe it's just me, but
I've
yeah,
never.
like it was fine. I mean, for me, the Lotus was like the problem I have is I drove an Elise on the same day I drove a single seater, and the single seater was just way better, as you kind of imagine, you know.
Yeah, it's like that's like the purest form of race car, really.
Yeah. Like it just had like one of the gearboxes you just smash between the gears, no clutch.
Oh yes, dog engagement gearbox.
Yeah, so I mean, like that was so much. Like, could that be the best driver's car? Just like two pedals, some gears that you smash about, single seater, sitting in the middle, fuck all weight, just go.
I don't think so because of what you said about race cars before.
Oh, you're totally right, man. I've been fucked for my own words.
But I mean, no, it's a good point. But I think when we're talking about driver's car that's primarily for the road, it has to be like if you showed it to anybody, they'd be like, "Oh, that's a car." Whereas if you showed that to a lot of people, they'd be like, "Well, what is it?"
Yeah, honestly, I know. And would you take a single seater out onto the roads? Like, it would be fun for like half a mile before it completely fucked your back.
Oh yeah, it would be a horrific driving experience.
Yeah, it wouldn't be comfortable at all. What episode of Top Gear did they take the supercars to, like Italy or something like that? And they brought the DB something that you could buy as like a track. Was it a 9 that was like track kind of set
Yeah,
up for the track?
it was like all multicolored, wasn't it? James May had it.
Green and yellow, I want to say.
Yes.
Aye, so something like that demonstrates why you race car not work on road.
Yeah, definitely. Like, although it's a driver's car, like when you look at the really good driver's cars as well, that they all have some form of creature comfort. Like they all have heating, for example. And
Yeah, I mean, I would probably I need heating more than I need aircon where I am.
yes, I am in full fucking agreement there. So yeah, is there anything that you think we've missed on this subject?
No, I think we've probably covered everything. I have a tiny one little thing that you might be interested in that's unrelated to this episode,
Fair enough.
which is
Oh,
I did clean my car.
no, what?
I didn't do it myself, obviously. I sent
Oh.
it somewhere to have it cleaned.
Was it like a car cleaner, or did you go and pay some guy in a car park a fiver to clean it with a dirty bucket?
Might be more of the latter than the former.
Tom.
I knew this would get to you. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
At some point, I'm going to get my car properly tidied up, like properly valeted or detailed or whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna try and get the paint to look a little bit nicer. But I just needed to clean the bird shit off it, and it's now living under its little car cozy.
oh yeah, man.
So in good news, I am going to start using the car cozy again because the bird shit buildup was getting excessive even for me.
Yeah, like it doesn't come across in the audio format, but I had a little fucking blood vessel explode in my brain. Just there, I was like, what? You can't do this. Think of the swirl marks.
Oh man, you should see the inside of it as well. It's just progressively getting filled up with wrappers and like receipts and just other tat. I'm great at keeping bottles.
No. Terrible. Terrible. Ah, no, I couldn't deal with that, Tom. I couldn't deal with it.
Sorry to stress you out, but yeah, at some point I'll get it done properly. It just needed a very quick wash, and be fucked if I was going to be doing that.
Fair enough, dude. No, life is busy. It gets in the way. So
100%, 100%. So with that slightly random piece of news, should we wrap up?
I think so, dude. Yeah. So you have been listening to Auto Arcadia. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for hopefully letting us know what you think in the form of a review or maybe even a comment. We'd love to hear back from you. And yeah, 5 stars or better if you're going to leave a review. Oh, and also please like, share, and subscribe. Can't forget that.